part of the software which could be using for two different purposes. One of it, base of the production or actions, just to make sure that we understand each other. Actions are those buttons here. When we create the logic, the events are those actions which have already fixed parameters on the playlist. So what 3D Play browser is doing, we can now have access to all the actions. We can again create the events when we are filling all the exports. Yes, so if we have the action which is have nothing else inside, just showing the ticker on the bottom with the name of the show on the top, then in the 3D Play browser we can create the separate events for the weather when we'll connect different database to the ticker, for the sports, when then we are selecting another data source, and maybe additional one just for the commercials or some internal channel information. 3D Play browser are creating those events. It's not interfering with the playout time when the 3D Play could be occupied. And then when we save and create those events in the 3D Play, we can just select the playlist and import all of them to the playlist. Yes, so it's mostly most cost-effective solution instead of buying two separate 3D Play license, when one of it will be needed just to create the events or the playlist for the next show. The second reason why we would like to have 3D Play browser, it have capability to record each of our action to clip. It means that if that's the different purpose, even if that need to be done just as a post-production to use it later in our system or in different system, or just as proof of concept for the management in the TV channel, we can select each of the actions from 3D Play or the event, fill it with the exports, or choose the proper graphics and hit record to the file. And we are getting exactly the look, how that will be looks later when we'll play it from the 3D Play. On the top, as the last one which I will describe, but I think the most important is the integration with HDVG, of course. The 3D Play, we create the production, but then we need to choose where on which render engine, each channel that button or that action will be played. Of course, with the basic workflow, all the actions, all the production will be played on the single channel, single machine, but nothing stopping us for connecting 4, 6 or 12 render engines on HDVG, and each action of it will be playing other graphics on each channel. Yes, so we can dedicate that up to the button or up to the tabs on the beginning, on the top. So we can have separate tab with the actions for each channel, or we basically can have different type of action on each button. Not only whole button need to be dedicated for the channel. If we create button like here we see with the logo sign, inside it we could have the logic that we can press the logo button and the logo will appear on all 5 or 12 channels, but for each of the channel that will be different image or the small clip. Yes, so single 3D Play can cover whole TV station, doesn't matter how many channels do they have. If we will use interact mode, which is also possible, then also in the 3D Play we are selecting which of the actions should be react for the interact. For the interact we are using mostly the Tuyo protocol. It means that when we are pressing something on the touch screen or the iPad, which is also possible, information are going directly to the HDVG, and then we are getting feedback from HDVG or render engine which is running on it back to the 3D Play to execute the proper action. So hide, show some of the graphics, move the objects around the screen, All of that is possible to configure. First, of course, we need to prepare proper template in the ForDesigner and then add the logic in the 3D Play. With connecting multiple HDVGs, render engines, which are running on them to the 3D Play, we need to remember about one thing. If we are using separate shared drives, the G drive, which I mentioned before, for each channel, for each HDVG, make sure that if we, in our production in the 3D Play, when we are selecting some of the graphics, we are selecting it from the G drive, which is connected to the HDVG, which we planning to use for that button. So that's also a quite often problem. If the customers would like to be super safe and have the backup solution for any scenario, they keep having separate G drive for the backup for the main channel and also separate G drive for each channel. Which means, of course, that 3D Play will have access to all of them and can read graphics from all of them. But if somebody will forget to update the content, it could happen that we are checking the graphics on the, let's say, backup HDVG. It's working as well. But then when we finally play it out to broadcast it, we notice that some of the textures, clips, or image sequences are missing. Inside the 3D Play workflow, same with the Maestro workflow or HDVG, there is no mechanism to synchronize separate G drive between each other. So that is always responsibility on the customer side. So now just the way how we are saving the productions creating the 3D Play. With the ForDesigner, as we remember, there is just one choice. We are saving all of that on the file system, and that's supposed to be G drive to make sure that all application and HDVGs have access to it. When we open that scene in the 3D Play, then we have two separate ways to save it. Or the standard one, which is used as a default one. Again, the file system. So each production, each action is a separate file on the G drive, which we can easily copy and move to the different system. Or we are creating a Microsoft SQL database for the 3D Play, and then we are storing the production in the database. So then each time when we open it, saving it, or using the 3D Play browser, we are really looking for the production in the database. Still, although we have the 3D Play production and all the logic in the database, yet if they would like to play it out on the HDVG needs to still have the access to the G drive. So a bit of more control. We can have the user, we could have the limitation for database, but to be able to play it out with all the content on the HDVG, we still need to have access to both database and the file system on which the scene is saved. And so with the file system it's a bit easier. We need to look just at the file system. No database is needed and need to be monitored. And this is a quick look how looks the blend GUI when we are using 3D Play. As you see, not so much different. We have the same playlist, but on the playlist we have the clips. Those are the clips which were never the part of the ForDesigner templates. Yes, those are not the clips which should be on the G drive. Those are the clips which are located on the blend. Yes, so in that case we have separate window. It's called Clip Viewer on the 3D Play. It's connecting directly to the Video Engine database, so we can review all the clips which are available for us, and then we can just drag them to the playlist. By default, they are playing automatically one after another. Of course, we can decide to play them manually. In that case, that small indicator will be visible. But the 3D Play GUI giving us the ability to also drag some of our graphics which we create before, like with the logo, with the tickers, and add them as a secondary events to the clips. And of course we can calculate from the start and from the end of the clip to make sure that for the last example which I was covering the music channel, the only thing which they're using is the blend. They playing the video clips from the blend storage, and then just to show all the information about the clip, they're using the 3D Play graphic buttons which are connected to a MySQL database where are all the information about the clips. So based on the ID of the clip, we are reading all the information about duration, singer, about even last news about them, wherever was added to the database. In that case, they don't need nothing else, no automation system, no external journalist availability just to fill the information manually all the time. They just putting the clips on the playlist, they adding the clip info action as a secondary event, and it's reading everything automatically. So as I saw, we can call it channel in the box. Are there any questions about the 3D Play or blend? I don't see nothing. So just one thing which I will mention right now, but I will repeat it later in the Maestro. 3D Play and Maestro could be used for similar workflows and have similar capabilities, but the one thing which 3D Play doesn't have is the MOS integration. So for sure, if you are looking for integration with the newsroom using the MOS protocol, the 3D Play is not the software which you need. Yes, in that case, you need to look directly to the Maestro.